Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video in this series. So in this video I wanted to go over how to do the actual aiming setup with motion matching for the character. So as we're looking around in this project, if you hold the right mouse button, you can see that we do have an aiming offset when we do hold that, just because of how things are flowing between the character blueprint WantsToAim into the sandbox character animation blueprint. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a basic setup of how you can get these aiming animations set up with motion matching to be used in your project. However, like I said, it's going to be a basic form of doing it because I've been trying to troubleshoot a lot of the aiming stuff with it, because there is certain problems that come along doing it with where I got the animations. More importantly, when I go to aim like this while running, sometimes it won't work, or maybe there's like certain weird things with like footsteps going to like one side of strafing, stuff like that. And also too, I'm not sure how to do like the aiming offsets, where it's like if I'm looking around while aiming, that the person will then aim the sights or the gun in that direction, right? But for the moment, I did want to go ahead and share this with y'all, so that way y'all can at least have a basic aim system set up with motion matching. So let me go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Lyra starter game project, and what we're going to do is we're going to export or migrate the assets out of there into our game animation sample project. So let me go ahead and open up Lyra project real quick. Alright everybody, I am back. So here I have the Lyra starter project open, and where we're going to get the animations for our basic aiming setup for motion matching is we're going to start in content, and what we're going to do is we're going to go to characters, we're going to go to heroes, then we're going to go into mannequin, just the normal one that only says mannequin, and then animations, and then you can already see that we have animation blueprints here, but the one that we want is right here with locomotion. And then we have pistol, rifle, shotgun, and unarmed, but as far as our character is concerned within the game animation sample project, I am not worried about the unarmed setup. And because this is going to be a basic how to set up aiming animations and whatnot, I'm going to stick with the pistol. So I'm going to go into here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm going to undo the animation blueprints here, or the anim layers, because we don't really need them. They might still come with us when they migrate, but at the moment we don't need them. So I'm going to right click on just anywhere of one of the animations, and what we're going to do is it should be in, let's see, asset actions, and then we're going to go ahead and click migrate. So I left everything as is. One of the like, you're more than welcome to go through this and get only the things that you want, but I left everything at defaultly checked, and so just hit OK. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into our Unreal projects, and I'm gonna look for the game animation sample project that we are working on, and I'm going to then select content, and I'm going to select that folder and migrate those over. So all you have to do is wait on that now. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the game animation sample blueprint, where we'll continue more on this topic. So I will see y'all there. Alrighty guys, I am back. So now we are in the game animation sample project again, and to check to see if our animations have migrated over, what we're going to do is just kind of like where we went to in the Lyra starter project. We're going to go into characters, we're going to go into heroes, and then you'll see we have the mannequin folder, and if we open that up, you'll see these other folders, but we're going to go into animations, and then you'll see that we have a locomotions folder and then our pistols folder. So in here, you should now see all of the animations that we've migrated over for this project. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut down our animations by at least half, because one of the things I want y'all to take note of is this MF that we have in front of pistol, and then this MM in front of pistol. And what I believe those are the feminine and masculine initials for the different animations, because you'll notice that some of the animations look slightly different, as if some of them are more feminine when going like in certain directions, or more masculine in certain directions. I don't think it stands for motion matching, because then what would be MF if that was the case? So just for the moment, because we were messing with the sandbox character, And just for what I'm trying to do, you're more than welcome to keep the MF animations if you want, if you plan on using the animations. But I'm going to go ahead and choose the MF animations just so that way I can cut those out, because for my personal preference, it's just I'm going to deal with the MM, especially with dealing with third-person starter templates. Just how they have the animations there for Manny, you know, and how they convert it over to MF. I kind of like that style. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all of these. So again, you could pick and choose which ones you actually want, but I'm going to go ahead and delete all of these just so we have the MM for the basic needs at the moment. All right, and so now once we've gotten rid of those, as you can see, what animations we have left. So another thing to take note of is kind of, if you've ever watched the other videos that I have out with the crouch and sprint, you'll see how we have some like turn in place animations, how we have some walk, how we have, but it's going to be our stops, our idles and stuff like that, or our breaks, things like that. So what we're going to do is we are going to make separate databases for them for like our spin transitions and other stuff. So what I am going to do is let's go ahead and hop back to, I believe, our characters and then our UEFN and animations, so that way we can go ahead and get into motion matching. However, before we start this, if you want to keep all your animations in one place, actually, now that I think about it, we do need to make a folder because we do need to retarget the animations. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a pistols folder next to the motion matching, and let's go back into our characters, go back to heroes, mannequin, animations, and locomotion, and pistol, and then highlight all of these and go ahead and right click them, and then what we're going to do is retarget animations. So then once that pops up, go ahead and select your skeletal mesh, and in here for the select assets, we are strictly looking for the sandbox characters, so we are going to type in UEFN for the skeleton mesh, because that is what is currently applied to our sandbox character in the GASP. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then what we're going to do is let me look for pistol in here, so that way we get all the pistol animations that we've imported. And you're going to click on one of them and then hit Control A to select all of them, and then you're going to do export animations. So like what we did just a moment ago, we're going to look for our pistol folder, which should be in characters, UEFN, and open up animations, and then boom, we got our pistol folder that we had made. So once you found that, go ahead and export those, and we don't have any files there to begin with, but because I've been tampering a lot with this, just in case I have anything there, even though I shouldn't because I just made the folder, I'm going to overwrite existing files anyway, just in case. But for y'all doing it the first time, you shouldn't have to check that off. But if you feel safe doing it, go right ahead. But once you do that and you get your animations over, the content browser should open up here. I'm just going to close out of that and go here, and we're going to go back to our characters folder and go into our UEFN animations, and then when we open up our pistol, you'll see that we have all the retargeted animations. So now once we have that, I'm going to hop back into animations, and I'm going to go into motion matching data, and we're going to go ahead and go into databases, and then I'm going to go ahead and do dents. So from a previous video, you can see I had the crouch work in progress, but for this one, we're going to do a new folder, and we're going to call it pistol, and I'm going to call it work in progress just because it is a work in progress. This is something that's outside of the game animation sample project, and I'm still working on it, but we're going to go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to copy some animation databases. So all the run ones I'm going to just select, and also the stand, turn, in place, because I'm not sure how many we really need. There's not going to be that much. If I look back into my other project, let me see. If I go to animations, pistol, and then let's see, I have, actually it's not in animations, motion matching data, databases. And I believe I put it in the sparse folder because I thought it was going to be sparse, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 databases that I've made. So for here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control C and go into the pistols folder. Actually, just to make sure that that took, since I was in a different project. Control C into pistols, Control V. So now we have all of these. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through it and rename it. We're going to do, I believe we have our loops, we have our pivots, we have our run starts, we have our stops, we have our walk loops, pivots, starts, stops. Okay, perfect. So let's go ahead and let's start with our run first. We're going to rename that. I'm gonna keep it dense, but this is gonna be our, let's see, our pistol. Yeah, I'm gonna call it pistol run, and this is from traversal. I'm going to put this as, actually we should have our run stops and stuff like that, so I'm gonna leave it like this. So we have lands heavy, we have light, we have loops, we have pivots, we have spin transition, we have starts and stops. So actually what we're gonna do is with the spin transition, we're going to call this one pistol walk loops. So I was just sitting here thinking we need to get our walks in. So this was from the traversal part. So what I'm actually gonna do here is do walk starts. And then this is the lands heavy. I believe we have our loops. We need our pivots. So let's see. Walk, pivots. And then let's see. So we have 1, 2, 3. So we got lands light. All right, pivots, starts, stops. Yeah, so here with the lands light, we now need our stops, I believe. Yeah, we need our stops. So go ahead and change that to pistol walk stops. And I believe I need to change the other one because I think I kept it as run. Let me see. No, I gave it... Oh, I didn't call it pistol walk. That's what it was. So let me change that real quick. Alright, so there we go. So now we got our pistol loop walk loops, we have our walk pivots, we have our walk starts, we have our stops. Then for our run, we have our loops, we have our pivots, we have our run starts, and we have our stops. So now we actually need another one. So I'm going to duplicate this because the first one what we're going to do, or actually I'm going to do the duplicated one. And for this one, we need to call it aim idle. So let me go ahead and bring that back, and I'm going to call it pistol idle, just like that. So now we got our idle, we have our run loops, we have our pivots, we have our stops, we have our starts, we have our walk stuff too. But also for the turn in place, this is an extra one that I don't have in my other project, just because at the time I wasn't thinking of the stand-in or the turn in places. So I'm also going to call this one pistol turn in place. Okay, so now once you have that, go ahead and let's open up all of these, and I'm going to mount them there. So let me speed this up for you real quick, guys. Alright guys, so now that I have all those opened up, so that way we can work at it one at a time and then save and close them as we finish it. So right here with the pistol idle, what we're going to go ahead and do is let's go ahead and delete all of these. And in here, let's go ahead and go back to our animations and then pistol. And then in here, we're going to do our idle. So I'm going to leave I'm only going to do the ADS in this one, just because the fact that with the brake stand, basically this is what allows you to aim all over the place. However, it still requires like an aim offset when you're looking in places, so that way you can actually do the scan, because I haven't fully like figured it out, so that's why I'm trying to test it. And then Unless you want hip firing, that's fine, but this would be something where you would put on like the default idle animation to have like it at your hip and stuff like that. And then there's the crouch idle, which I haven't implemented yet, but once you go through this process, you'll see how easy it will be to do a crouch idle. So once we have that, let's go ahead and save this and close. Actually, let me double check because I believe we have the idle, but there should be, I think I had the turn in places with these in my other projects. So let me double check. Yeah, I had the turn in places with those. So I'm gonna just leave that for our turn in place. So now that we have that, go ahead and close out of the idle, and let's go into our turn in place, and then this can be our turn in place one. So I believe it is the turn, I think that's what they have. Yeah, perfect. So for our turn in places, get the turn left and turn right animations and put them in there, and then let's go ahead and save that and close that. And then let's go into our loops, get rid of everything out of here. And then this is our walk, I believe. So let's do our walk loops. Just to double check, yeah, we have our walk loops. So for here, what we're going to do is, as you can see, we have all these different walk ones, but I think I need to actually get loop, or no, I think that's only with the jump. So what we need out of here, because we have pivots, we have, let's see, stop, start. Okay, so we have, yeah, so we need to look for that. So walk, backward. Okay, so we have backward. What's the other one? Those are the pivots. Yep, start, stops. Okay. So grab that and then look for the forward. It should be this one. Yep. And then left. And then right. And then there we go. So now we have all of these animations. Okay, so now go ahead and save that and close that. So now the next one is pivots. So for this one, it should actually be pretty easy, because what we can do is just type in pivots or pivot, and then just look for the walk one. So as you can see here, the walk pivots. Then once you have that, go ahead and save, and then close out of that. And now we're at our walk starts. Oop, didn't mean to do that. So then for this one, let's go ahead and grab our start. So go ahead and look for the walk. Get all those. So as you can see, everybody, there's like a trend here where, you know, there's pretty much like 4 animations at a time for each one. It's just like really specific what we need. And then we got our walk stops. So look for that. Actually, I forgot to move these, and then now move them into there. Save that. So now, as you can see, we now have, it's doing it again, so I'll just kind of bear with me. But as you can see, we finally finished all of the walk animation databases, so now we can work strictly with the runs now. So it's going to be the same process. So basically what I'm going to do with the runs is I'm going to actually speed through those, and just pause the video if y'all want to get caught up with me after y'all do that. So I will be right back. Alright guys, so I am back now. So as you saw, we went through all of those databases. So now when we actually go and look at them, we should be pretty good with our databases, because we have our idle, we have our transition, we have all the jog, like all the jog animations into the run databases, and we have our walks in the walk databases. So now the next part is what we have to look at doing, because now it would be going into the motion matching database table, so and adjusting them, but I'm going to show you what we need to do first. So go ahead and open up your sandbox character blueprint if you haven't done so already. And the thing that we need to do first is hop into the event graph. And what we want to do is we want to do the open states function, so we get here with all of our different gate selections. Because right here, all these different gates are what the motion matching databases are using when doing their first layer of chooser tables before they get into the nested choosing table. So if you've ever dabbled in the third person template, or at least the first person template, but more specifically the third person template, if you've ever been inside the default animation template, you'll notice like all the different like pre-made stuff like the should move, has like, or what is it, has acceleration or ground speed, and then like is jumping or is falling, is whatever. And you know how you would set up the basic motions for states like is crouching, is sprinting, is other stuff. We're essentially going to be doing the same thing here, and I'm going to keep it as basic as possible. So what we want to do is we have, if we go down to our variables in our left hand details panel and go to references, we want to call and drag out our sandbox character reference, because it has the WantsToAim within this character reference within this animation blueprint. So off of that, what you're going to do is drag off and you're going to get WantsToAim. So you're going to go ahead and get that. And then lastly, what you're going to do, because now that we've pulled the WantsToAim out of the character sandbox, we need to promote this to a variable. And the reason why we want to promote it to a variable in the anim blueprint is because our motion matching databases call strictly from the animation blueprint of the sandbox character, which I'll show you when we get in there. So since it's calling from that, that's where it's going to get all of these references like enums and other stuff, right? So that's what we're trying to do. So I'm going to go ahead, and because we've made a boolean out of it, or a boolean variable, I'm going to set our WantsToAim in these states, because technically this is a state that we're trying to put our character in. So once you have that, go ahead and make a new pin off the sequence and drag down and connect it into your WantsToAim. So what I'm also going to do here is I am going to make a comment, you know, saying that we are caching the character's WantsToAim state, just like that, keeping it very simple. Let me actually adjust that T, because I don't like the way it looks. All right, cool. So once we got that, you've adjusted that. So this is the only basic thing. Like outside of this, I know all of this is, you know, looks much better, but if you ever want to do something like this, all you're really doing is you're going to create a enumeration file within the data file of here, or wherever you want to put it, and you're just going to reference it in here. And then basically this is just being set off of whatever was set in here last, or changed over to here last, before like changing over to what is newly being set depending on what's chosen. I really like this fashion. I think it's really cool. I tried messing with it earlier, but it was eh. But anyway, so we got our WantsToAim set up. So once you do that, we're going to go ahead and save everything, and we're going to compile. And now we're going to hop back into our content browser, and we are going to open up the dense database. So once in here, we don't need to really do anything, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to put all of our stuff together in these stands. So if you were here with me in the last video about the crouching, you'll notice that I have crouch idles and crouch walks. So whenever I decide to implement the crouch aiming animations that we had migrated over, I will be putting them in here. So if you ever watch that video, there's a reason why I did this, for any of the adjustments I plan on making in future videos. So to go back to a point that I made earlier about how it's referencing the ABP sandbox character, is literally right here. So when you've made the context data and you give an object type class, basically you're kind of setting almost like a pseudo variable here. It's not really a variable, but for context, that's kind of, if you don't understand what's going on, that's what's going on. And then we're referencing that as our ABP sandbox. So if we went into the character blueprint, you can see how it's the same thing here. This would be our object reference variable, and we're referencing the sandbox character. So that's how we're able to get the movement mode, stances, states, gates, etc. So by saying that, let's go ahead and let's open up the, I didn't mean to do that. Go ahead and open up the stands idle, because we're gonna mess with that first. And in here, what we are going to do is we're going to add a new Boolean column, because we have set our WantsToAim in the update states function with the ABP sandbox character. So you're going to go ahead and hit bind, and within sandbox character, you're going to go all the way down to right here, properties, where we now have the WantsToAim. So once you have that, for me personally, I like moving it over to the left, just because it makes me feel good seeing the next like state like right here, or at least this right here, but you're more than welcome to keep it at the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to add another asset, and in here we're going to get pistol, and it's going to be pistol idle, and we're going to add another row for asset, and I'm going to look for pistol again, and it's going to be the turn in place. Because for here, the turn in place is similar to how you see the stand here and the stand idle. So what we're going to do for the gate is we're going to change this equals to an any, so that way in any of the gate states we grab that, and then any of the gate states we can grab that. And so for our idles and our turn in place, as you can see, our idle goes from 0 to 20 here for the idles, so we're going to do the same thing here if we are aiming. And then with the turn in place, the stand turn in place to 999, we're going to do the same thing here, just like that. So now with the WantsToAim, obviously any of the ones that are stand turn in place normals, we want to have to false, because we are not aiming with them. Those are the default unarmed animations. However, for our pistol idle and our pistol turn in place, obviously we are aiming, so we want that to be true. So now with pretty much kind of like with the rest of these, we're going to copy like how these stands are here. So for the stand idle and turn in place, for our pistols, we're going to copy those ones for the unarmed, and we're going to make those false. Then the same thing like the landed heavy, we're going to make these false. And for the turn in place one, we are going to put true here, and then false for the normal idle, just like how you see here and here. So once you have that, go ahead and save, and we're going to then hop back into our dense database, and we are going to now go into our walks. So go ahead and hit the edit, and in here we're going to add our 3, or I believe 4, I think it's 3 that we have. So if we do a database row, let me double check for our walk. So our pistol walk. Oh, I'm sorry. We do need to also add the stops into the other thing, which we'll go back into in just a moment. So technically we have 3. So we need to add our loops, our pivots, and our starts into here. So I'm going to do our starts first, and then I'm going to add 2 more rows. And for what I'm going to do is our pistol walk again, but this one is going to be the loops, and the last one, the pistol walk. This one will be our pivots. So for this one, we're going to also add a Boolean column, and we're going to bind it in here to the WantsToAim. And again, just for my personal preference, I'm going to move it all the way to the left. All right, so then once we have that, so for here, we're going to then put everything here in the WantsToAim to false, except for the actual pistol animations, we're going to set to true. And then for the is starting, for all the other stuff, so like for the is starting, for our normal unarmed walk is true. So for our pistol starts, we're going to set that to true and leave the rest at any, like how they show. Is pivoting, we're going to do the same thing. So true for the pistol walk pivot. The just traversed, we're going to keep that as any, just like how they have up there. And then for the just landed light, as you can see with these starts, loops, and pivots, they are all false. So we're going to make these false as well. Same thing with the heavy, we're going to make those 3 false. And then for the should spin, we're going to leave that as any, just like how they have it for those. So now that we've done that, go ahead and save, and let's go ahead and hop back into the main table, but let's go back to idles because again, I did forget to include the stops, because as you can see here with the walk stops, run stops, that they are included in here. So we want the pistol walk stops in here. And again, we're going to make sure that that is set to walk, just like how it's here. And then we're going to set our speed to 20 and 999. And then again, follow along with the walk stop. So for WantsToAim here, that's the only one that's different because it's true that we are aiming. And then landed light, it's going to be false. And then for landed heavy, false. And then for the any, for the walk stops, turn in place, we're going to leave that as any. So now that we've fixed that, let's go ahead and hop back and finally do our, actually we need to do one more, because my apologies, because I forgot we also had a run stop. So go ahead, go back in there and make another row for assets, and you're going to do run stop or pistol run stop. So I believe we had pistol stop, I believe. So let me see, pistol. Let's see, we had pistol, turn in place. Oh, you know what I did? I think yeah, okay. I set it, I didn't change those to pistol, I gave those as stands. So real quick, everybody, go ahead and go back into your animations and pistol, or no, I'm sorry, go back into motion matching data and databases, dense, and then pistol, and then change all of these stand runs to pistol runs. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Alright guys, so I'm done with that. So now that we have changed that, so we can now go hop back into our database table, and now let's go ahead and see if our pistol run stop is there. Yeah, so we got our stop, and again, copy it like how you see the unarmed stop here, except the only difference is that we're going to make sure that we are true for the WantsToAim. So let's see, we got 20 to 299. Just like that, and then false for the just landed light, as you can see, and then false for the heavy, and then any for the turn in place. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and now I'm going to go back into runs, and the same thing that we did with the walks, we're now going to add 3 asset rows, and then we are going to add a Boolean column and bind it to WantsToAim. And then real quick, I'm going to move this over. Alright, so now that that's moved over, let's go ahead and add our pistol run stuff here. So we got our run starts, we got our run loops, and then our run pivots. And then once you do that, let's go ahead and modify all of these to false for WantsToAim, but then our pistol to true. And then is starting, our start is going to be set to true. Rest is any. Pivoting, we're going to set to true. And then just reversed, we're going to leave that as any. And then just landed light, we're going to set to false for these. And then the heavy for these are going to be false. And then we're going to leave the spin transition alone. So now that once we have that done, you should now be able to save everything. And if we go back in, so, you know, just to recap, we have set this Boolean and everything, and then in our character sandbox, since we didn't go over this, once we toggle our aim input, which should be your right mouse button or, you know, whatever control you're using, we should now be able to go into an animation where we are aiming. So, a little warning too, you will see a compilation error. Basically, this is referring to the mannequin stuff or footstep notifier effect that we brought with us when we migrated the Lyra starter game project assets with us. This is just part of it. There's other stuff that was involved with that project that utilizes this, so that's why we're getting an error. This does not pertain to anything at all with what we just did. So you can go ahead and play an editor, and now when we go to aim, you should now see that we are aiming, and we can turn in place, and we can move while aiming, we can strafe while aiming, we can go backward, and then we can walk with our aiming. You can walk to our side while aiming, etc. So now we have an actual like pistol motion matching database set up and ready to go. All you have to do now is just socket whatever gun, whatever pistol that you want to use. So one of the things that I mentioned earlier is like you'll notice that at the start of your animations, if you first started it, that there was like some glitchiness to it because of how it has to register the database table. Another thing you'll notice is that if I go right, how we have the little steppy steps, you know, with our strafing to the right, and that's mainly because of this. So if I go back into actually the content drawer and I do the walk, where is it? The walk loops right here. If we take a look at all of these, you could see how the right animation barely stops. So like it stops right here and doesn't go the full length. So I do need to adjust that or learn how to fix that, but that's why we get the little steppy step tippy taps when we go to our right. So if you know how to adjust that, you're more than welcome to fix that, but for the moment I gotta figure out how to do it because I'm still in a learning process with a lot of these, so I don't know what I need to fix as of right now, but I would like to do an update video to try to make sure that those are updated, and then maybe it'll also like add a gun and stuff like that to our pistol animations for our sockets and stuff. So, but that is pretty much it, guys. We have the basics of our aiming animation set with using the Lyra animation project. So literally with what we just did, the same thing should apply if you have like a lot of other better pistol or aiming animations, whether it's for a rifle. So if you want to do the rifle one, it is literally the exact same process. You just got to do it in a way where it's like you specify them. So you got your, you know, your rifle aim walks or your starts or your loops, or maybe you have your rifle run, start, stops, loops. You have your turn in places with the rifle. You have your idle rifle, you know, stuff like that. Literally just the same way we did it with the pistol, and you can literally add every gun animation from the Lyra starter game project into this. So that is pretty much it, guys. Thank you for tuning into this video, and I look forward to seeing y'all in my future videos to come. So other than that, guys, y'all take care and thank you.